I think I've started off on the wrong foot. Despite what my earlier How to Fix episodes might indicate, I don't hate The Walking Dead. In fact, I still dearly love it. Sure, it isn't perfect, but as I established in my original preface, that doesn't qualify as valid criticism. Nothing's perfect, pieces of media are what they are, and one can either accept them or easily watch something else. Ironically enough, the very notion of fixing pre-existing media is fundamentally flawed in and of itself. For example, when Netflix revived Arrested Development for its 4th season, fans lamented the loss of the original show's pacing and tone. The original cut of season 4 wasn't bad though. Sure, it was nothing like the original classic 3-season run. The pacing was totally different, the episodes ran longer, and characters' respective subplots stayed separate until they all finally intersected for the season's close. While the first 3 seasons were objectively better, Arrested Development Season 4 was unique. It experimented with the streaming format as its predecessor did with broadcast television, making for a well-written, if different, experience. Admittedly though, I was ecstatic upon discovering the newly revised Arrested Development Fateful Consequences. It seemed Mitchell Hurwitz and Ron Howard had gone back and done for their 4th season what I had intended to do for The Walking Dead. They had gone back and remixed it to match the show's original tone, pace, and style. The original 15 hour-long episodes had been interwoven in a 22-episode run that cut back and forth between the Bluth's separate adventures so that each episode gave someone some screen time. It was as if my prayers had been answered. Upon watching Fateful Consequences, however, I noticed things felt a bit off. While yes, each episode saw all Bluths present and accounted for, their stories moved along at a snail's pace. Since each subplot had been split into 22 little pieces, an episode of Fateful Consequences never ended with the payoff of a solid conclusion. Initially, all scenes of Season 4's bottle episodes were thematically tied together, and one could expect their solid culmination by the end of the hour. When their storylines intersected, it was special. The season's overall chronology took shape with every installment, and each episode provided a piece to the puzzle. The delayed gratification of seeing how it all came together was ultimately worth it, resulting in a satisfying finale. By attempting to change the identity of something so intentionally different, however, Fateful Consequences served as little more than an imitation of the old show, sapping Season 4 of the little quirks which fans said interpreted as flaws. In other words, they
made a huge mistake.
The fact is, like Arrested Development's 4th season, The Walking Dead exists as is. Viewers can praise it, nitpick it, love it or hate it, but at the end of the day, the show belongs to its creators. No matter what flaws the public may perceive, it is completely up to the storyteller whether or not their story needs fixing. If Ridley Scott's true vision remains unrealized, he can make the 50 billionth cut of Blade Runner. If Mitchell Hurwitz deems it appropriate to remix Arrested Development Season 4, he reserves the right to risk the remix. If George Lucas decides Return of the Jedi could benefit from a CGI band sequence, he can go right ahead. If people take issue with said sequence, they can always dust off their Star Wars VHS tapes in favor of the special editions. If a fan wants to make their own cut, they can, but in doing so, they bite the hand that feeds them. Ultimately, I could keep going. I could rip all Walking Dead seasons to shreds and sew them back together as I see fit. Once the dust clears though, what have I accomplished? I've devoted a small web series to my gripes with the most viewed show among adults age 18 to 49. I recently realized that I may one day wish to work with the people I've criticized. I have a peculiar situation compared to other YouTube film critics. One day I hope to be part of the industry I critique, so the last thing I want to do is burn any bridges this early on. How do you think an industry professional would feel about some pretentious 17-year-old film student claiming he could do their job better? They'd certainly be less prone to hire the kid. If I carry on like this, I risk offending potential employers. Plus, let me reiterate, I'm still a fan of this show. I compare my feelings for The Walking Dead to a complicated relationship. I have learned to love it despite its flaws. Sure, its lesser tendencies bug me now and then, but I still care. Of course nobody's perfect. Sometimes those you love let you down, but there are moments where you are reminded why you fell in love in the first place. It would be unhealthy to expect perfection from The Walking Dead. To assume it needs fixing is disrespectful and takes away from the positives. It is what it is, and if I can't accept that, it's time to reconsider why we're still together. So, time for a change of course. I'm still going to finish what I started, but will approach it from a different, more constructive angle. My old How to Fix videos will stay up. Like The Walking Dead itself, I won't go back and hastily re-edit my old material. I can, however, do better in the future. To all the people who put their blood, sweat, and tears into this show, I apologize for my arrogance. Hopefully, if I've offended you, this new direction will make amends. You know, on the minuscule chance you've even heard of me. Moving forward, I'll make this a series to highlight pieces of media I like, warts and all. It won't just be The Walking Walking Dead, I want to expand far beyond just one show. If my feelings toward a film, TV show, or musical album rest in a gray area, I'll weigh what I like and dislike about it, ultimately deciding what makes it worth a watch. I might even play devil's advocate for a product I don't personally care for, so long as I see the talent put into it. I've come to understand that, motion pictures being an art form, their value is more complex than a numbered score or black and white stance. When a viewer experiences a story of any kind, their commentary is only enriched by mixed feelings. That is the core of criticism itself. It wouldn't exist if things were perfect. Truthfully, a story's flaws start conversations, and erasing them would, weirdly enough, be a shame. Therefore, I don't want to waste another second mapping out how to fix The Walking Dead. It's a little more complicated than that.